to the Four Seasons with Ken Johnson. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So, earlier in our pilot episode, we talked about what the four seasons are. Those are what I call the four pillars of society: culture, commerce, conflict, and conservation. So today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to be talking about Mediation Week. So October 17th, 2021, all the way through October 23rd, 2021, is considered Mediation Week. And so we've already received a letter in praise this week from the Supreme Court of Florida if you're a mediator. And so, as everyone knows, I deal in conflict studies. Conflict dynamic studies is what I refer to it as. So I have written previously 2 award-winning books on alternative dispute resolution and conflict resolution. And so those books are now out of print because I left with the publisher that I was with, and I have not republished them as of yet. So I do have a lot of knowledge in this field. I've been a Florida Supreme Court certified county court mediator now since 2006 is when I got certified. I was actually training a little earlier than that, but that's when I actually got officially certified. I've already went through the official training for circuit civil mediation, so I'll be getting that certification very soon. I've also done the training for family law certification, that's divorces. So circuit civil is anything over, I think they're about to change the limit, so it'll be around 50,000 and above that I'll cover. And then from there, family law is basically divorces. And so I'll be helping people with divorces. Then I'm also a USDA mediator. So USDA mediation, it sounds kind of boring. What can farmers really have a problem with? Well, actually, it's more in farming. So there's people that they're getting a home. They're getting benefits for food and things of that nature. Yes, farms are involved. So farming is a business, and one of the C's I cover is commerce. So it is a huge business. If you drink wine or drink beer, farmers are involved, and the USDA is involved, and that's where I can come in. I like to make alcohol myself, so I make wines and meads and all sorts of stuff. So it would not be uncommon for me to deal in one mediation with an apiary, which is a honey producer, somebody that keeps bees. And then on another level, I might actually be dealing with the meadery, the place that has taken the honey and turned it into beverages that, at least in my hands, because I'm good at it, it can taste like rum, it can taste like beer, it can taste like you name it, because it's fantastic and I love mead. But each one, because of federal law, because the government is very onerous with regulations, a lot of meaderies have to be very specific because of the law. So you might have one that they're only producing a braggot, which is a type of beer-like produce, versus like what we consider a wine. And so I would be dealing with that. And then next thing I know, I might be dealing with a wetlands mitigation issue. And so I deal with a lot of stuff. Right now, I'm mediating in Hawaii via Zoom. So if you live in Hawaii and you know anybody that rents or you're renting and you're having a problem, you might actually get to meet me not in person, but at least on Zoom. And I would be handling that eviction case because I do have contracts with multiple organizations handling this process. Additionally, I am also trained in restorative justice. And I promised that I would talk about restorative justice at a later time. Well, it's later. So restorative justice is different. If you look at a mediator, let's first do that. What is a mediator? Mediators fall under this umbrella of what we call ADR, or alternative dispute resolution. So that means anything not in front of a judge, or if it's two countries not in front of war and there being the decisive victor, or anything that is status quo, that we in our society say, this is how we handle this. We're going to the city council. We're going to the county commission. We're going to a judge. We're going to war, whatever it is. Anything outside that is considered ADR. So as you can tell, ADR is a huge umbrella and it can encompass a lot of stuff. And so I'm very well trained in this. Kind of like a doctor, you wouldn't want to go to a family practitioner. You'd want to go to a heart surgeon. There are people that they specialize in certain things. And then you have people that they do pretty much everything. And that's me. So as I said, mediators are a specific arm of ADR. They do not have the ability to make a decision. We're a neutral third party is what it is. I have a mediator friend that she absolutely hates the idea of neutral, disinterested. She tries everything in the world besides neutral because she says neutral means you're not doing anything. And she's a mediator, and it makes sense. But we are an impartial third party because I hate disinterested. I tell people that it's their problem, not my own. And so they are the ones that they can remedy the solution. And what I do is I ask facilitative questions. And there's different types of mediation styles. But in the state of Florida, we're regulated to where we can only use the facilitative model. And so I use the facilitative model, and that's what Hawaii likes, and that's what most people like. So that is what I use. And so basically that means I'll do a bunch of questions. And so somebody will say, it's this way. And I'm like, okay, but have you thought of it this way? So if it's a renter that they're thinking something, I might say, well, have considered it from the prospect of the landlord. Imagine what they're going. And then I'll name off some things. Have you considered those? And the whole idea of doing this is to get the parties to reach to an agreement that we memorialize. And the beautiful thing about mediation, at least in a lot of states, not everywhere, but definitely in the state of Florida, is that it is confidential. And that is something that I love. So everything in the mediation is confidential except for that settlement agreement, or where I'm required or permitted by law to report issues such as elder abuse or something very dire. But other than that, it's pretty much confidential. And so it's a very safe place. It's a way that you can have somebody that is not a part of this, that doesn't know you to remedy a situation. In another arm, there's a person very similar to me that they are what we call arbitrators. And arbitrators, they actually make decisions. And so it's like being in front of a judge. And there's all sorts of hybrid variations of that, mediation, arbitration, things of that nature. I even do a thing called community mediation where we bring in the community members, maybe the government. And it might be an issue about a zoning matter. I am trained to do that. So that is something that I do as far as mediation is concerned. So what is restorative justice? Well, when I go into a mediation, I usually have very little data. I let people tell me what's going on, and we try to work it out from there. Restorative justice looks at things from a triangular point of view. So when we're dealing with a crime or a wrongful offense, we call it restorative justice. And that's the most common name. And when we're trying to prevent these things from happening and create a culture where this is less likely to happen, we refer to as restorative practice. So if somebody says, "Oh, I deal in restorative practice," okay, it's restorative justice, just a different name. It is before versus after. That's all that matters. And so we normally refer to it as RJ, just to keep it simple. So as an RJ facilitator, I got my training with the University of West Florida College of Professional Studies. One of my mentors was Dr. Swanson. She was fantastic, and she served on numerous boards and committees. She even had a honor dorm at Holman Prison, which is a maximum security death house in Atmore, Alabama. And I actually went there and dealt with some of her people. And the fact that she's able to have a place that only needs a guard half the day, maybe, and they regulate themselves. These are murderers and rapists and everything you can imagine. And they self-regulate and they don't cause problems. It's amazing. Restorative justice is transformative. It is most like transformative mediation, which is the type of mediation I'm trained in, but it's different. So when I walk into a situation, I've done interviews ahead of time. And so I know what's going on. I know what questions to ask because I know the full story. And using that triangular point of view, I look at the matter from those 3 points, which is the victim, the offender, and the community. And so in that respect, I do a series of questions. So I'll have a talking stick usually. It may not be a talking stick. It may be an item of some sort. So if I'm at a school, they don't really have much erasers now. Even the dry erase boards are going away in a lot of schools. But there might be some item that is important, a basketball, a dodge, whatever. And it doesn't matter what the item is. All it does says that person that has that item has the ability to talk. And so I'll ask a question. And we'll go around the room and everyone has to listen. And then I'll ask another question and they'll go around. And the whole purpose of these questions is to address issues of harm, address issues of need, address issues of impact. And so through this process, we're able to navigate where a wrong has been done and fix it and do it as a community. Unlike the court system, where the state takes the place of the victim, what we call surrogate victimhood. So if you're victimized, the state steps in, and now the state acts as the victim. That is the reason why if you look in the court system, it says the state versus whoever. And so you've lost your ability to have a voice in the matter, to have any harms or whatever addressed, because the state comes along and says, we're the government, we know better than you. And so whatever we give you is what you give. Too bad, so sad, have a good day. And then they'll work with the offender and they're like, well, we're the government, we know what's best for you. So whatever we decide, it's got to be good for everybody else because we're the government. Who cares? And so they'll negotiate ways that somebody might actually not be a offender, but they don't have enough competent counsel to represent them. And so they'll admit to things that they didn't do. Or sometimes they're really bad people and they'll get a plea deal because, well, both the state and the public defender's office are overworked. And so it happens. Either way, the person goes to prison. And prison is not about reform. It is not about helping. They offer some programs, and if you talk to people, they say, "Oh, we offer programs." And as you talk to the people that actually work in the system, it's not about that. It's about punishment. And so the person is not made better. So I try to handle those issues. Sometimes I don't have an opportunity to make things better. Not like I would like. So all I can do is help people in grief. And so I do basically grief counsel. It's grief circles where people that have lost somebody can talk about that person and react about the issues and the travesty. I did one for a family a while back, and it's taken years, but now the killer is on the run. That finally the government has done something. It happened over multiple states, and one state because he killed somebody else. Now they're finally going to do something about it. And the only thing I could do was offer grief counseling or grief circles for the family. And a lot of them said that it was transformative because they was able to talk about issues that they never thought about and got to hear stories that they didn't know. So that is conflict resolution. If you're ever in an issue where you need help, I ask that you please reach out to a mediator if you can, especially if there's another party involved. It's important. Usually you're going to end up in front of a mediator anyway if you go to courts because the judges, they're overworked and they really they don't want to have to deal with it if they can. So find a mediator. They don't have to be a lawyer. In fact, some of the best mediations I've ever seen has been by non-lawyer mediations. I tell people that if you want to get good advice, common sense advice, talk to a lawyer. And if you want to get good at mediation or good mediations done, get a non-lawyer mediation. That's just my personal opinion. That's my own experience. There are some great lawyer mediations in some states. It's required to be a lawyer, be a mediator. I disagree with those laws. I think that they're wrong. It's all right. This is a free country. Everybody can have a voice. Doesn't mean that it's going to be listened to. But if you have a choice, strongly consider a non-lawyer mediator. Whoever you get, I'm sure they'll be great because they'll be trained and certified in this. And try to work it out before going to court if you can. If not, if you're asked to go to court, seek a mediator. We can resolve issues a lot faster, a lot better, and we can give you a voice. We can save time. We can save money. So definitely give it a try. Everyone that I've ever mediated with has told me that it's been a blessing to them. So definitely be a blessing to yourself. Usually what I do is I talk about my books. Naturally, like I said, the conflict resolution, restorative justice books that I talked about, and they're out of print, but I do have a book. So if you have any writer, friend, or anybody that does any type of comic book, screenplays, whatever, it's called A Quick Guide to Archetypes and Allegory. It is an award-winning book. I highly recommend that please go and get it. Also, because it's October, it's getting time to buy gifts. So my wife, Tasha, there'll be a link below this. So she actually has a system called Toshana's Creations where she does books and things of that nature. She is fantastic and she does great things. And she can do shirts, she can do mugs, she can do tumblers, you name it. And unlike the epoxy tumblers that you can't wash in a dishwasher, this you can wash. Unlike the paints on coffee mugs and things of that nature that will eventually wear away, these will not wear away like that. So it is safe in a dishwasher. I highly recommend that you go to her. She does great work. Again, her link will be below. One other thing, I have a friend. His name is Ricky Wallace. He has a YouTube channel called Wallace, Knifeworks, and Homestead. I highly recommend that you go to his channel. The guy is just as old school country as you can get, and I love him for it. And so we've been friends for a while. He's one of my best friends. Man is super talented. He does just normal talks. He makes knives, and he does all sorts of wacky stuff in the middle. On some of the older posts, you may even see me fishing with him. So sometimes he'll refer to me as Chief, and you'll see me fishing. You won't see the videos normally where I'm out fishing, but it happens. He's caught some fantastic fish, and we've had some wonderful times. We've had some trippy times. There's some times that I could talk about that were straight out of a horror film almost, and it was surreal, but it was great fun. But the reason why I mentioned him is, like I said, he makes knives, and I have a bunch of his knives. This is one of my favorites. I hunt because, like I said, I talk about 4 pillars, conservation. The things I do is I hunt and fish because I'm Southern, as you can tell by my voice, and that's part of what we do. So this is one of the knives that he made for me. As you can tell, pretty much everything is reclaimed. That is the beauty of what he does. So if you hunt and fish, he actually does trades. So he might actually do a partial trade for deer antlers. Some people did, they actually hunt and trap beaver. And so he made some sheaths out of the tail of the beaver that have been tanned. Beautiful work. Amazing. And so if you're into green living, we need to make use of all this junk. And Ricky has the ability and the know-how to take pieces of metal, pieces of wood, antlers nobody wants, leather and hides and things of that nature nobody wants. And he can make some fantastic knives. And if you have some old knives that maybe were handed down by your grandfather, great uncle, mother, he can fix them. He has the ability to repair these things. He can sharpen, can do a lot of things. Sometimes you break off a knife tip. Well, he can actually reshape the knife tip so that you can have a functional blade once more. He has all sorts of skills in his repertoire, and I think that it would be a fantastic and unique gift, especially if you have somebody that's a hunter or fisher in your life, to talk to Ricky. He even has one that I love called a trout knife. It's the weirdest little knife in the world. Love it. It's neat. And he's made them out of all sorts of stuff, even butter knives. And if you ever get to see one of those, try it out. He, again, fantastic guy. I highly recommend him. If you want something like a shirt or mug or tumbler, my wife Toshana, Tasha, she is great. I highly recommend her. Again, buy my book. So that makes a wonderful stocking stuffer. You can find it wherever quality books are bought. And I look forward to talking with you again. Have a good day.